Okay, so this time I'm gonna do something a bit different and review some figures that that are from source materials that I'm not completely familiar with, but thought it'd be worth a shot because well, you can kind of review anything you want, right? So first up is Satono Diamond from Uma Musume. These other figures are also from Uma Musume, but there's also like one from like another series, but we'll get to that. So Uma Musume is a series that I barely know anything about. I just know that it's about horse racing, and the girls are based on real horses. But they're like most of them are gender bent because a lot of the horses were originally stallions, like they're male. But then they get turned into anime girls, and they have like crazy personalities and all that stuff. A lot of stuff based on like the actual horse like owner and the people who race in the horse races and the race horses themselves. So I don't know much about Uma Musume, so I luckily I consulted an expert and I did a lot of research, so I was able to look up some information about the following 3 Uma Musume figures that I'm going to review. Okay, so before we even get on with the review of Satono Diamond, first we must ask ourselves, what even is an Uma Musume and what even is a Satono Diamond? Well, first off, Uma Musume is an entire video game, like multimedia series created by Cygames, which started in 2016, and the game came out in 2021, and the anime, which has currently run for 3 seasons, started in 2018. And then the newest anime for Cinderella Grey basically just came out, but Uma Musume is a collaboration with Cygames, who made Grand Blue Fantasy, which I'm sure you know of, and the Japanese Central Horse Racing Association, or JRA, even though that's not what all the syllables say, but okay. The JRA has basically been around since the fucking 1930s and is basically Japan's like huge association and organization for horse racing and everything. I still have no idea how this collaboration ended up becoming a thing. I don't know what the truth is. Like maybe someone at Cygames just had a crazy idea and they all went for it. But all the girls in Uma Musume are basically anime girl interpretations of real life racehorses in the JRA. So, for example, Satono Diamond is a real life horse which exists in the real world, but she's been turned into an anime girl. And what this game basically is a mobile and PC game where you're a trainer and you gotta raise all these horse girls and you gotta, get them to like you and train them up so then they can win all the races. So it's basically what happens if you take horse racing and Idolmaster and combine it all into one game. It's very fascinating, and it's also made them so much money. I think Cygames is literally just living off of Uma Musume and Grand Blue Fantasy money, which is why they're able to fund like one-off anime projects like Zombieland Saga, Akiba Maid War, and Bang Braver, which all 3 of them you should watch. But so Satono Diamond is actually a male horse, a stallion, and was born in 2013 and is actually owned by Hajime Satori, aka the fucking owner of Sega Sammy Holdings. Like the entire thing that basically owns Sega. So, like Yakuza and Sonic and everything. So the funny thing is that in Uma Musume the game, they even make references to Sega with like the UFO like crane game machines, and the fact that there's apparently even a Mega Dream supporter, which is basically a Sega Genesis / Mega Drive and a fucking Dreamcast just put together. Satono Diamond is also the main character in the 3rd season of the main anime with Kida-san Black. I'll get to her figure soon enough. And even though they're childhood friends, they end up becoming rivals, so, some fierce competition. But she's also a really big fan of Meijiro McQueen. And I don't have that figure yet. I'm gonna have to get that. Her outfit actually comes from the design of the horse jockey outfit. And Satono Diamond's primary horse jockey is Christophe Lemaire? I don't know how to pronounce it. It's in French. Satono Diamond's also managed to win 8 out of the 18 races that it's been in, with at least 6 major like G1 and G2 races, so that's pretty nice. And also, somehow they managed to generate over 800 million yen. That's a lot. I told you, this horse racing shit is crazy. Horse bidding, horse racing, horse raising, like... And now they've got an otaku obsessed with this shit. And the otaku are basically being tricked into throwing money at a gacha game and also going to the real life horse races so that they can offer money to the horse mafia or whatever the fuck is going on. And of course, the horse mafia is a thing because if you draw porn of any of the Uma Musume girls, they will probably kill you. Or throw you in jail, or, I don't know, get rid of you. So be careful with your Uma Musume girls, they're gonna do all that. Okay, but real quick, how did we even get to this point, like, where we have a figure of this character? So, you know, as successful as the game is, it's only natural that you would get merchandise, and there's tons of prize figures, scale figures from Fat Company, Sega, there's Banpreto's Ichiban Kuji, and then tons of, like, scale figures, and even Good Smile has made Nendoroids and, you know, scale figures of their own for Satono Diamond. But then Bandai started making Uma Musume SH Figuarts with Special Week, Taiko Teo, Kita-san Black, Satono Diamond, etc. So today, you know, that's what we're basically going to be looking at. I'm not going to do all of them because I don't have all of them. I only have like 5 of these figures. But if this does well, maybe I'll do more and buy the rest of them. But that's pretty much it. So now we can finally get started with Uma Musume and Satono Diamond. So she stands at about over 5.5 inches, and then counting the ears, almost 6, like almost close to 6 inches. So in centimeters, that's about, I'd say she's like over somewhere like close to 13 centimeters. So she's not like super tall. And for comparison, here's her best buddy, Kita-san Black. Apparently these two are best friends in the Uma Musume universe. And you can see that Kita-san Black is actually taller. I think they look good together. Considering that, you know, they're supposed to be best friends, like, within the canon of this fucking gacha game or whatever. Yeah, it makes sense that they would, you know, they would match. I have some other comparisons here, so you can take a look at these. Here she is next to your average, like, Goku. And even a fucking Marvel Legends. Yes, I have a Marvel Legends, and it's Japanese Spider-Man, but that figure fucking sucks. But we're not talking about that one today. Alright, so starting from the top, I'd say that they actually got the face detail extremely close. The eyes look a lot like the way they do in the reference images that I'm looking at. The hair color surprisingly matches. Getting like those subtle shades of like light brown and everything is really tough. The only thing it's missing is like a glossy effect, because you know the game is cell shaded, so there's like more shiny looking hair and everything. But it looks like they did a good job. I don't know if these lines are supposed to be there, like on the diamond shape on her head. I'm trying to see actually. I guess they are. They look like they're supposed to be. The little green ribbon thing, this is actually pretty close. I think it's supposed to flare out more though, like a little bit more like this. See that? It's supposed to flare out a little bit more compared to the photo I'm looking at. The eyes, they actually got them pretty close, but I think the problem I'm having is that even though the eyelashes look accurate, I don't like that the lines for the eyelids are red. I don't know why they're red. In terms of skin tone, because you can't see much of her skin, only her face and her neck, I actually got it pretty close. The clothing detail is actually fucking amazing. Like, I'm surprised how well they managed to pull this off. It's not perfect, there's a lot of detail that's missing, but but they managed to get a really good job. So what I can tell you is that only certain things had to be overlooked. So right here you can see that the the frills right here on her like, collarbone area, they're not see-through at all, so they're not transparent or anything, but they also lack a lot of detail. Like they have the color separation, but they lack the detail. I'm trying to get this in focus. Yeah, so you can see there's also some color bleeding right here. See the brown and like the whatever this color is not painted super clean. But I guess they made some sacrifices to the areas that you're probably not going to pay attention to. But it just looks so simple. And I don't like it. I think the diamond on her, I think the brooch, like the diamond on the brooch looks pretty good. But I'd also say that it's not as shiny as like the reference image I'm looking at. Just trying to use like the official artwork and everything as a point of reference. They actually did a good job with this little, not an ascot, what the fuck is this? I guess it's a brooch, like the little frill coming out of the brooch. It should be a lighter shade of brown, like this part here, but oh well, doesn't matter. This part they got pretty clean though, but they kept the details. I just wish they added some shading here to the upper part that connects to the diamond, so that it could look like there's some shading, but there's no shading. As for the yellow trim, they actually did a really good job with the yellow trim. I wish it was etched into the clothing, but they didn't do that. I guess that would have cost too much. There we go. Look at the decal detail right here. Look at that. They got it really clean, and I'm trying to show you as much as I can with the long hair she has that gets in the way. Look at that. They actually painted it, and it's like has a glossy metallic look to it. But you see that? Look at that. That's really impressive. I just wish it was like etched or what do you fucking call that? Like it's embedded, like where it pops out. Like they really should have done that, but that would have put it over the moon. But nope. Okay, so as for the shirt, her big chesticles over here. I didn't realize she had big chesticles when I looked at the artwork, because it kind of doesn't look like it. Because it just looks flat in the artwork. They actually got it really. They did it really well, but there's a minor problem with the shirt. In the official artwork, this inner part is actually the same shade of yellow as the trim. It's like this trim here, but they left it green. So that's an inaccuracy. And I don't know how much that matters, but I think it does matter. Okay, so the sleeves. The sleeves are probably the best part, to be honest. Yeah, the sleeves are probably the best part. Because even though they look a little jank, because it's very segmented, they did such a good job. Like look, they actually have the... Okay. Look, they actually have like the frills here on the top, and they even put the pattern for the sleeves. And it does go all the way. Let me see how I fucking do this. Yeah, you can see, look, it goes all the way. Look at that. It's etched all the way. The buttons are even embedded. Like, that's really cool. And then the yellow like hand sleeve thing she has going on. The colors are separated, and almost all of this is painted. And they even kept like the black frills. It's just that they're more solid. I guess because it would be impossible to make it such a thin plastic, or to use like such a thin fabric that they can't bother. But it still looks good enough, I think. They even kept like the trim right here. You see? Right here, just some trim. They kept these colors and everything. That's pretty cool. Again, I think shading would make this go a long way, but the fact that it's painted at all is actually impressive. Because I can tell the difference between painted plastic and then just bare plastic. As for the chest, or for the waist area, they actually did a great job here. You can tell like they have the little button things right here, and they actually put the decal for the clothing pattern. So they have like this whatever the fuck that is in the middle. And then like the little like frill etchings right there. That's good. They even kept like the little stripe pattern here that's in the middle. And the frills. And this is the part, this is the main thing I wanted to talk about. I feel like they kind of half-assed this. Like if they could have panel lined, quote unquote panel lined, and then just like colored in those little lines in the details, that would have been fine, even if it wasn't like in the right color, like a brown line or whatever. But not having that detail there painted just makes it look plain. So that's the only part I think that they fucked up on. And if you're really like picky, some color bleed right here and here, which I don't like. This part is really clean. I'm really surprised about this. As for the back, the only thing I can say, because I don't have a picture of her from behind, is that this bow is done really well. I'm trying to like get it in frame. Look at that. Look at that, they did a really good job here. You can see it has the same type of diamond that the front brooch has. That's really cool. See, like, this is what I'm talking about. They need to color in these details with panel lining. You can really bring it to life. You can see like the intricacies of it, but it's not brought to life, so you kind of have to squint at it to see that those etchings are even in there, which I don't like. You should be bringing it to life, not just like forcing someone to fucking squint in order to even realize that it has detail. Look, even here you can see like this is three-dimensional. The little like the laces for the fucking like corset. I guess it's a corset, yeah. For the corset part of the outfit, like look at that, they did all that. Okay, and now we can talk about the dress part. Or the actual skirt, I guess. Honestly, this video is probably more me just analyzing the figure. Okay, so they actually did I think they did a good job with this. With like the main... I think they did a good job with the main part of the figure, which is like the big ass skirt that she has. Like ridiculously long skirt. I'm trying to fix this. Okay, so let's take a look at this real quick. I think they should have added more shading and these like little white dots that she has on her skirt or whatever that is, like that I guess gives it more detail, but whatever. There is some shading, I think, and I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but I think there's a gradation here. Because it's kind of hard to tell, but the bottom part here is a different type of green, and then here is the same green as the rest of it. But it slowly changes at the very bottom to like a more bluish green. So I think that's kind of cool. And they kept the pattern going here for the gold trim, or the gold etching. But again, I wish it was three-dimensional and actually popped out, because it would give it more texture, more depth. Like, they didn't even do it here, I think. No, that part is painted, the part with the tail. We'll talk about the tail later. And then here, the frills, I think they could have used like blue or like gray shading to just, you know, give it more, make it more lively. And then the black frills right here, they did a pretty good job. Like the lace. As best as they can without it being like super thin, because that would probably fuck everything up. And then the shape of the skirt I don't think matches, because it's not supposed to be like that long, or I think that tall, or whatever. Give me a second, the inside, see the inside also has that problem I was talking about, where the details aren't like panel lined or like colored in, so you can't tell. Like, yeah, this part is painted, but you can't see the details in the frills unless I point them out. And even then, look, they messed up here. It's not colored in all the way. And what was the other one? And there, actually no, the left side is actually better. The right, I guess. Anyway, and then as for the socks or whatever the hell she's wearing, I'd say they're accurate. they're about as high up as they're supposed to be. Let me see what else. The gold is there. She's wearing underwear, just so you know. Hopefully the horse mafia doesn't kill me. I don't think they will. And then the shoes, she has like whatever those things are on her, on the ankle part. These little frills here, those are good enough I think, but they're actually missing some detail. Yeah, I think they're supposed to look more folded up. I thought they had like gold or something, but no, they're supposed to look more folded up, but they're so small, so I don't know. And then here, there's like gold trim, which is accurate. And then here, there's the brown frills, so that's about as accurate as they can get it. And then the shoes, which they have to cut up some for articulation. Pretty good, and they even kept the little diamonds there. Yeah, so I guess she's Satono Diamond because, you know, she has a lot of diamonds on her body. Alright, so overall... Okay, so overall, her aesthetic, I'd say gets like a 9. Because, yeah, there's some details missing, but given the scale and the fact that they put so much paint everywhere else, I don't know, can you blame them for cutting corners? Actually, no. We should be mad for them cutting corners, because sometimes cutting corners sucks, and sometimes you get Dragon Ball figures that barely have paint on them. Or you get like a domestic figure like Marvel Legends where it barely has paint. Because it's just a reused body, so yeah. Okay, so aesthetically I'm gonna give her a really... you know what, either 9 or 9.5 I think, because it's such a good likeness. And there's only some minor flaws that I think really bring it down. Like not having certain details in the frills like here and here and here. It's like mostly, and then like the one on the inside and the back, but like, it's like 3 or 4 small areas and everything else is completely painted. And they bothered to put the detail into almost everything else. And I didn't even talk about the little chain thing that she has right here. This thing. I didn't even talk about this. This is actually really good. But anyway, now we can move on to articulation, and unfortunately that's not her best area. But I think her looking so good kind of makes up for it. But let's talk about one of the biggest problems she has in terms of articulation. She has 2 problems. One, she has a hard time standing up. You see, I got her in a really specific pose so that she can actually stand up. The thing is that if I take her out of this pose, she is going to tip over. Now watch this. If I literally just change the pose into anything else. See? Like she's already starting to fall over. Now watch this. See? She collapsed. So, why is that a problem? Well, because of think of 3 things. One, she has this big ass hair. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Oh, I didn't even talk about the purple shading on the bottom of her hair. Look, there's like purple highlights on the bottom. Wow, I didn't even talk about that. Anyway, the other thing is that the skirt is very heavy because it's a very like strong plastic. Unlike the other Uma Musume girl, Kita-san Black, that girl has a soft plastic skirt, and this one is very hard plastic. It's a little flexible, but it's nowhere near the material that it should be. Like, it should be a soft rubbery plastic. This is not. Especially in the back, it's like semi-soft, but still very heavy. So what that does, I think, is create a bottom-heavy type of appearance, where this part is weighing her down a lot, and then in addition to this, that's adding a little bit more weight, and she doesn't exactly have the best shoes in terms of balance. See, it leans back, and then it wants to lean back again. So the feet aren't very balanced. I'm trying to see if I can capture it properly. Yeah, see? Like I keep saying about heels, they're not at the right angle, and I don't know if I can fix the shoes to make it so that they are. Especially on this side, you can see like how badly they did that. I'm assuming I can fix it, but I think the heel is also at its lowest point. If I could force him to go down, then it kind of straightens out, but still no, you see that this is at an angle and this isn't. This is straight and then this is at an angle. If I could force the shoe to go down, then that would help, but that's not going to work. Same with this one. This one I'd like to have at an angle, because you see, look, you see how it creates this weird, like, going this way and then that one's going that way? That's a problem that she has. She has really weak ankles. If I put some shock oil, not shock oil, if I put some of that like glue type of thing to make her joints better, it might help. See, I did flatten it a little bit, but it looked kind of weird now. See, this part is sticking out now because it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be more flush. So they didn't account for that. Okay, so what we're dealing with is the usual type of Figma and female SH Figuarts joint, where it's two things that connect here in the middle, and one is a peg that goes down, and then one is a ball peg or just a straight peg into the back of the head. So it's supposed to be able to let you do this. It's supposed to be able to turn it to the side like this. They even gave the neck articulation, so that's cool. Not enough, I'd say, but it's only so much you can do. Yeah, so the neck is supposed to be able to go like this, and can even go all the way like this, but obviously you can't do that when there's a face on it. Alright, so once everything's back in, you can see that the head tilts about, the head and neck tilt about this far down. That's not bad. And then side to side, it's pretty good head tilt, I think. You can get it to do all the subtleties that you need it to. And because this whole neck peg that connects to the neck turns around, swivels, you can have some subtlety. See, you can have like a downward head tilt. You can actually have some attitude to it, which is something you can't do for Marvel Legends. It is a fucking horse, like, anime girl. So, okay, the head is pretty good, but... Okay, so the hair, usually long hair is hard to do, but I think they did an okay job. So this is on a hinge. I think it only goes back and forth. And it can kind of move to the side, but it springs back in. So I think it only goes back and forth. And then this side, also I think does the same. This part hinges all the way back. Yeah, you can kind of see it here. It's like a bunch of hinges. Which is fine, it doesn't get in the way. And I think you can even hinge this so that the hair goes in the front. Not sure how easy that is, but you can kind of make it go in the front, which looks stupid. Due to the way that it's like completely straight. But so hopefully that doesn't break anything. Because that would be bad. I don't want to break it. Okay, and now we can talk about the neck. Like the actual neck. The actual neck joint can go in 360 degrees. You can kind of give her a shimmy, but you can't do that without a proper double ball peg. But the neck does go in 360 degrees, so in addition to the head joint being really pretty good, there you go. The only time this type of a neck head connection is bad is if the neck doesn't move, at least from my experience. Okay, so for the shoulders, you can do this. If you tuck it underneath this little thing right here, which I believe is the butterfly joint, you can actually get it to go a lot more than horizontal, which is great. Same for this side. You just tuck it under. Or I think you can have it. Yeah, you have to tuck it under, which is a little tricky to do. But you can potentially get it really high up. That's pretty good. I don't think I can get both of them to be the exact same angle, but there you go. It's pretty good. Oh no, okay. And then for the elbows, you actually get really good elbow range. Like, look at that. That's way more than 90 degrees, sorry. Look at that. But yeah, it doesn't look like a lot, but remember, keep in mind that 90 degrees is kind of like this. This is kind of 90 degrees. And then look at this. Well, 90 degrees is somewhere around here. And then look at that. That's pretty good. Not perfect, you should be able to go a little bit more, but... So that's good. Also, there's no bicep swivel, but you do get arm rotation here, so... That's like... That's a small nitpick I have. I hate when there's no bicep swivel. Especially when this is all one color and you can easily cut that part out. But if it works, I guess. Same with like single jointed elbows. Like, I prefer doubles because you're able to like tinker with it a bit more, but it's fine. Okay, and something unique to her is that since she doesn't have any hands, because they're supposed to be like in her sleeves, they actually did this for her sleeves. So you can make it look like her hands are here and that she's, you know, kind of having her hand curled in. Kind of like the way, like, you know, there's like almost like pom-poms or something. But yeah, if you've ever seen those animes where they have girls that have really long sleeves, they always, you know, go like this or something. So yeah, that's something that she does. It's kind of funny to see having her with no hands. She has no hands, technically speaking. So I think that's pretty cool, and it actually... No, but the thing that makes it really cool is that it can curve inward slightly, but then, look at that. Look at how they engineered that. Like, you wouldn't know that it curves, like, it just looks straight. Like, you have to see the joint under here. But look at that. Look at the curve on this. That's so cool. It's so smooth. I wish they would do knees like that. Like, look at how smooth that is. Yeah, it doesn't have a deep angle, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to just curl in slightly. So you can actually have her do some of her, like, signature poses or whatever from the game and the anime, where she just kind of has her hands like this. I forgot about another part of her arms. They actually go inward. Look at this. Why is this one so squeaky? I gotta fix that. Look at this. Not the best range, but combining all the joints and everything, you can make it like go inward. But look, they actually go inward. Like, what the fuck? Again, like, these can go inward and look really silly, but like you can't get Goku or or Vegeta to do this, like, so they can do their actual moves, or even a Ryu figure from Street Fighter. Like, a lot of the time they can't even do this. This is why I always like make a big deal out of the shoulder and butterfly joints, because it's like, how can some of these characters who don't even do moves like that are capable of pulling that off? But then, like, the characters that are supposed to be doing it can't. Okay, I don't like the squeak on this. This is bad. Hopefully I can fix that. I don't think it's all... I think it's on the shoulder, not the elbows. Also, you kind of have to be careful since all of this is bald, like, two-sided, like, pegs and everything. You have to twist everything around to try and get everything to line up again. See? So that's a little annoying. I have them straight here, but yeah, see? That's a little annoying. Don't want to hear that. Especially when this one's perfectly fine. This one goes all the way, full rotation and everything. Just kind of goes at a slight angle due to the way it's pegged in. So you can't have her arms all the way down, like straight. But, yeah, who cares? Okay, so now for the torso. Torso, I believe, is just, you know, ball peg, another ball peg, and maybe something else here. So just this part, it was really squeaky, what the fuck. This part rotates, and then goes back ever so slightly, which is, I can't even tell, and then goes side to side. Ooh, doesn't really go much. Yeah, see? It has some movement, but not enough. And then here's the rest of it, like this upper part here. But like I said, this is all like, this is kind of getting in the way. You see, like she can't really do much except twist. So that's not really all that great. So her torso, chest area is very limited. And I think it's just because of this stuff, like the skirt getting in the way. And this little floating piece here, this is a floating piece, and it seems to get in the way. You can see like how it's engineered, I think. It's kind of hard too, but there's some kind of thing. There's some kind of thing going on in there, but it's very hard to tell. And I can't really take this apart at the moment. So anyway, not much you can do there. I know that the legs are on a ball, like the waist joint and everything connected to a ball peg, because you can do this. You can actually move the legs. So I know that. But now we can talk about probably the worst part, which is the skirt. So the skirt flaps back like this, and it does give you some room to kick. You can have her kick backwards, but you know it's so segmented, so it just has like this big gap here. I don't like that. I think zoom out. So it's so segmented and zooms out, which kind of sucks. So it's so easy to see like how it breaks apart. Oh yeah, this. Hey, let me. So this part, the little bow thing, this thing can move a little bit. It can split open like this and close and spin around, so that's kind of cool, I guess. Probably gonna use it for like minimal adjustments and everything, and so it doesn't get in the fucking way. The tail is technically an accessory, but it's also not because it's supposed to be part of her body, so I'll cover that. It's a straight peg that connects to this little hole in the back of the skirt, and it's kind of similar to how like the Dragon Ball tails work, like for Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So you can kind of go up like this, up like that, and then you can swing it all around. You can kind of just do whatever you want with it, which I think is really cool. It's a really good system they have there. Okay, and now we can talk about the front part of the skirt, which I hate, because one, it's a harder plastic, and two, it's not split. Like here, it should be split, so that the skirt can actually like move out of the way. Because now, because of that, watch this. Watch the kick range. There's nothing there. Look, she can't kick. She's supposed to be running. You know, she's a horse girl. She's running, but she ain't running nowhere. And because of that, and because of the skirt, her splits are limited too. Like this is about as good as she can split because of the skirt. If I like kick her legs back, if I try and like move this joint system back, let me see. Can I even? I don't think I can. No, I can't. It's all messy in here. Okay, so what else I can talk about is she does have a drop down on her legs. At least I think she does. Yeah. She has a drop down to try and help her kick more. So that does help. Because before, what was it? Let me see if I can pull it back up. Okay, so here's the difference between the leg being dropped down and then not. Here's the kick range. Take a quick note of that. Here's the kick range if you don't drop it. Terrible. And then here's the kick range after you pull the leg down, which is a lot better, but it's still ass. Like, it shouldn't be this bad. Like, I know she can kick all the way, but unless I take this whole thing apart, I can't show you. It's like the way I could with Precure. Like, this is a bit more complicated because you can tell that the this green hinge here for the back part of the skirt is connected to the waist area. Kind of hard to see, but You can see right here, it's connected to the waist area, so even if I took this thing apart, that would make it difficult for me to put it back together. So, unless I can rip this skirt into 2 pieces or something to make it easier for myself, I don't know how it's constructed. And you shouldn't have to take things apart and all that just to, you know, get it to function the way you want. It has something going on there, but I can't tell what. So I have to figure this out. Okay, so let's just assume, due to the way other female figures work, she can like kick very far out to the side. That's all I'm guessing. She can, but these skirts, like the skirts get in the way. See, if you flex it, you kind of get a bit more. Yeah, you can kind of get a bit more, but still, like, it shouldn't be that way. Yeah, you can get a little bit more. And then obviously if you drop down the legs all the way, you get a little bit more kick. But the thing is that if this skirt was more flexible, then she'd be able to kick much further. Especially given that this skirt is cut up in angles. So it's not like other skirts were just kind of straight. So she can kind of kick okay, even with the drop down, but this still isn't good enough. So unfortunately her leg range is severely hindered because of the skirt. It would have made up for like the torso area being so limited. So for articulation, and also her bad balance and everything. Oh wait. So she can move her foot all the way back like this, which I think is great. Going forward, actually pretty decent, that's good. And then the ankle rocker is actually not bad, but given how weak the ankles are, and the way the shoe is shaped, you're not going to be able to use it for much. And due to the uneven nature of the weight on her body, that's a problem. And then toe hinge, which kind of sucks. It's light. Goes all the way up like that, and then goes back down. So yeah, her articulation sadly isn't the best part, which is unfortunate, because I think everything else about her is really good. But yeah, oh well, you sacrifice one thing for another, I guess. Yeah, so her articulation, I'm gonna give like a... What can I say? Because there's some pretty good stuff, and then mostly bad, like, or meh. Okay, I'm gonna give her a 6, I think, for articulation, because it should be better. Especially, come on, like this is basic female engineering, and it's mostly the character design that's getting in the way, due to the fact that they did the skirt like that, and I think that's more of an engineering problem, not like a character design problem, because they could have just easily made it a soft skirt. Or the ideal thing would have been to just make it cloth, but you know, they're not going to waste budget on that. That's too much budget. She only comes with the bare minimum in terms of accessories. So she comes with 5 faces in total, a figure stand and a stand base, and like a little claw thing for the stand. So that's pretty much it. She comes with the smiling expression that she has like out of the box, with her teeth showing, which looks a little weird because it's not like outlined. And she comes with this little kind of angry looking expression. She comes with this kind of funny, like whatever type of expression, and the way like you can use her arms and her hands to kind of emphasize how effective this expression is. She comes with a smiling, closed, eyes closed expression. And then the last one is her winking at you, which I think is pretty cool. Also, I don't like the gapping on the hair. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I guess it helps take the hair out easier. So the face, I think, is connected by two things. So one, it's connected by this little thing here. So it connects to the middle part, and then it connects to a little ridge that sticks out from the middle of the hair, which is pretty secure, but a little too secure. Because I can't get it out so easily. Oh. Actually, no, it's just connected by that ridge. But this part wedges into the ball socket part here. Or the kind of ball socket. Okay, so I'll just swap out with this one. Wait, no, let me swap out with the other one. So here's this one. Yeah, you see, it like really wedges in there because it's like really wedged. And then the hair connects to these 3 points here. And then you just line it up like this. Oh, maybe, oh no, that gap is still there. How do I like close that gap? Okay, it's a bit better. And, okay, do you see? She can't stand up. Okay, so, see, she can just be like, whatever, I can't stand up, but who cares? And then the last thing, of course, is the display stand, because believe it or not, Bandai Namco will give you a fucking display stand for certain characters. We're gonna mess with this real quick to see how it works and if it's any good. It's also different from the usual Tamashii stand because it doesn't have that little curved part in the top of it. And the only thing that it has on this is that it says copyright Cygames. So that's kind of lame. Okay, so obviously since it's just a generic display stand, you just kind of use it the same way. You plug into this part, or you can take these little rivets out and just plug that in, but you just plug it into here, and then you plug in the stand arm, like either up or down, it doesn't really matter. Wedge it in, and it snaps into place, and then you just put her on the claw arm. But the problem is that, like, where does it go? Like this? Is this how it works? Yeah, I'd say so. It's a little loose because I don't know how to get the grip to work properly. And the little bow thing gets in the way. Yeah, so I'm not sure how exactly this is supposed to work on her, because that little bow on the back of her body like gets in the way. So maybe if you do it like an angle. Yeah, I think if you do it at an angle, it works. So you can have her displayed in doing something silly. And ideally, they would want you to use these figure stands to simulate their running poses, because, you know, that's all they do. They run in the horse racing track and everything. So in order to get the running poses, they have to be at like a really steep angle leaning forward, and the only way you can do that is obviously by having a stand or some kind of way to hold them, because they're just gonna fall over if you make them run. So, okay, so overall accessories, I give it like a 7, because all you get are faces, but you also get a figure stand, and you can't even get that with Goku and other characters that fly. I know I keep bringing that up, but it's like those are more common figures. Like, this is a figure they don't really make much. So, okay, I'll give her a 7, because, you know, no hands or no extra things, like no patch of grass or like the gate that they come with, you know, that they step out of to race or whatever. So yeah, 7 I guess for accessories. So overall, I think Satono Diamond is a pretty cool figure. It's just that it has some annoying limitations due to the flaws in its design, like the heavy skirt and not being very flexible, the skirt not being segmented enough where it can split apart so that you can actually move it properly, which causes issues with the legs and the leg range. The torso is limited, so that's kind of a problem. And there's some paint detail missing, like in certain parts of the character design, but there's so much paint and so much detail like on the figure that I think it makes up for it. And I think it looks extremely cute, and I think it captures the likeness of the character really well, to my knowledge. So, and you know, it looks fine, and it's not super expensive either. It's like, what, like I paid like 5,000 or 6,000 yen for this? I don't remember. I think you can still get it on Amazon and AmiAmi, but I don't know. But okay, so overall, I'll give her like a I'll say 7.5. 7.5 is good, because even though there's a lot of positives, the negatives really bring it down for me, especially because I'm not super attached to this character. So I'm gonna say 7.5, just because there's a lot of good, like I said, but the bad I think helps balance that out. So I'll say 7.5, because man, it'd be really cool to do some like proper like leg like crouching poses or high kicks or something. You know, I know they don't fight or anything in the game, but It'd be cool to give her some like unique poses that are different from just standing still, or in a running pose or something. But you know, that's just kind of how it is when they don't design skirts properly. So I'm gonna probably review the other Uma Musume figures soon, and I'll see how good they compare to the others, how well they compare to the others, especially compared to Satono Diamond. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully I can do more figures that I'm not familiar with, like just as like a way to branch out and also to see if other people are interested. So yeah, that's alright. That's it. See ya.